Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome back to the channel. As Yoda fell from the Great Senate podium and landed hard on the cold floor, he knew that he had failed. He fled from the Senate chambers because he could sense the imminent danger that awaited him if he did not. After the climactic battle with Darth Sidious, where it didn't appear as if either of them were the victor, Yoda knew he had to go into exile and hide from the Empire. The time of the Jedi was no more, and Republic was far too gone by now to be saved. For many years, Yoda hid on Dagobah until Luke Skywalker would find him and lead the rebellion to ultimate triumph over the darkness and the Empire. But with this, a question arises during all of these events. After the Alliance rose up, why didn't Yoda rejoin the fight against the Empire and lead them as their Jedi General like the old days? With a new hope blossoming in the galaxy by the Skywalker children, Yoda could have left Dagobah and trained both Luke and Leia while commanding armies and leading the rebellion to their ultimate victory. As a Jedi would have proved invaluable to the Rebel Alliance, especially the Jedi Grand Master. So why didn't he? Unlike Obi-Wan Kenobi, who did rejoin the fight for a time, the answer actually has a few layers to it that we need to break down. We must truly know both Yoda as a person and truly recognize his decision to go into hiding in the first place, and within there is our answer. First though, because it's summer, there's a big sale on the Star Wars merchandise page, 30% off the entire store, and if you use code WAVE at checkout, you get an additional 10% off. That's 40% off your entire purchase. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, and explore why Yoda refused to join the rebellion in the fight against the Sith. Let's start with the obvious. Yoda at the time was now very old. By this point in time, he had been on Dagobah for the last 20 years of his life, and although his ability to touch the Force never waned in his physical being, those who are old can only take so much more excitement in their lives. Only a mere 2 years after this, Yoda went to his deathbed. 2 years in comparison to a being who has lived for 900 years would be akin to a human deciding to re-enter a war when they are around 90 years old, and know deep down that they only have about 3 months of life left in them. But although this may be the obvious answer, it does actually go far deeper than this, and there are greater reasons why Yoda decided not to rejoin the war. Let's begin by looking at Yoda as a character and analyze the kind of person that the Jedi Master was. Yoda has never liked war in the slightest, and in many of the comics that he appears in, Yoda actively does everything he can to broker peace and act as a liaison for the holiness of life in whatever system or person he comes across. He is obviously not always successful in these ventures, and he was often criticized for opting to try to seek out peace options rather than acting as a general would. Unlike the other Jedi generals, Yoda was not out to command armies into the best and most advantageous positions for swift and decisive victories. Because to Yoda, any battle wherein a fight breaks out and life is lost is not a victory at all. The Jedi Grandmaster seldom drew upon his lightsaber unless absolutely necessary, taking into the heart of the Jedi's original philosophy of using this weapon as a complete and utter last resort. With the Rebel Alliance, the tactical plays were better left to the likes of Admiral Akbar than that of Yoda, mainly due to the fact, because unlike the Republic at the time, the Rebel Alliance did not hold any discernible advantage against the Empire, an advantage that Yoda enjoyed the benefits of. However, whether a good military leader or not, perhaps Yoda still could have been a great help in other areas with the Rebel Alliance, or perhaps not. Unlike the Yoda of the Clone Wars, able to give rousing speeches to masses and boost morale, the Yoda we find in the swamps of Dagobah is a lot more grounded and realistic with his approaches to things, and we see this on display most notably with how he attempts to train Luke. He tells Luke how it is, and doesn't put up with his whining. However, I don't believe that Yoda would have ever wanted to join the fight against the Empire in the first place. As we mentioned earlier, the time of the Jedi was over completely. At least the time of the Jedi that Yoda represented, as the separation of the Jedi between Luke and Yoda and the orders that they establish are massively different from one another. Yoda essentially believed that the Jedi that he led in their time was over, and that they had outright lost to Darth Sidious and the Sith. To describe this in more detail, and in Yoda's own words, we will look at the novelization for Revenge of the Sith, which describes Yoda's thought process as he dueled Darth Sidious. There came a turning point in the clash of light against the dark. It did not come from a flash of lightning, or a slash of energy blade, though there was plenty of it. It did not come from a flying kick, or a surgically precise punch, though these were traded too. It came as the battle shifted from the holding office to the Great Chancellor's podium. It came as the hydraulic lift beneath the podium raised it onto its tower of durasteel, 100 meters above and more, so that it came a laser point of battle flaring at the focus and vast emptiness of the Senate arena. It came as the Force and the podium's controls ripped delegation pods free of the curving walls, in a rolling thunder roar that echoed the Senate's cheers from the galaxy's new emperor. It came when Yoda found himself alone against the dark, in that lightning-speared tornado of feet and fists and blades and bashing machines. His vision finally pierced the darkness that had clouded the Force for years. Finally, Yoda saw the truth, this truth, that he, the Avatar of the Light, Supreme Master of the Jedi Order, the fiercest, most implacable, most devastatingly powerful foe the darkness had ever known, just didn't have it. Yoda had lost before it had started. He had lost before he was born. The Sith had changed. The Sith had grown. They had adapted, had invested 1,000 years intensive study into every aspect of not only the Force, but Jedi lore itself, in preparation for exactly this day. The Sith had remade themselves. They had become new, while the Jedi had spent that same millennium training to refight the last war. The new Sith could not be destroyed with a lightsaber. They could not be burned away by any touch of the Force. The brighter his light, the darker their shadow. How could one win a war against the dark when war itself had become the dark's own weapon? This is the perfect passage to describe how and why Yoda had changed over the years. This is why when he fell from the podium, he didn't just retrieve his lightsaber and leap back into the fray. This is why, when he landed in the speeder with Bail Organa, he said that he had failed. He had failed before he had ever begun and ventured to Dagobah. He reflected on the sins of the Jedi and how the galaxy had become the galaxy that it was now. The galaxy had chosen their new protector, the Empire, the Sith. Even if Yoda were to come out of hiding and lead an army to victory, saber in hand, would the galaxy still accept him? Or would they turn on him and throw him out like they had all of the other Jedi? The problem here is that Yoda understood that the galaxy no longer cared for the Jedi. They may have hated the Empire, but they hated Yoda's Jedi more because it was the Jedi who led them into this period of darkness, where a galactic empire was rendered necessary. Palpatine's lies and machinations, as well as the Jedi's own fault, had turned the entire Republic against them. The time of the Jedi was over. They needed to be remade from a fresh perspective. Luke may have been brash, a new Jedi, and impulsive, but he was just what the Jedi Order needed in order to truly be remade. Although Yoda was frustrated with the young Skywalker, he knew that the boy was the Jedi's true savior and the galaxy's own savior as well. So friends, are you satisfied with this answer? Or do you believe that there is more to this question? Do you agree with our assessment on why Yoda vowed to never rejoin the fight? Do you think it makes sense in terms of his character? And do you believe that the old Jedi needed to die out, with Yoda being the last of its lineage? As always, my friends, don't forget the sale on the Star Wars merch page. Thank you so much for watching the channel, and may the Force be with you.